everybody, I'm David Breen from Sharing Yoga, and how about that guy doing the yoga pose right at the opening there? How he's got his legs twisted around behind over his head, and his arms twisted up and about, and he's all twisted into a pretzel. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people think yoga is. And so I think one of my missions in life is to try to dispel that myth. I've been doing yoga consistently for about 15 years now. I tried it when I was younger, then I got away from it, now I'm back into it. And I'm not a pretzel. I can't put my feet behind my head. I don't aspire to put my feet behind my head. But what I aspire to do is to try to get you to try yoga. That's my goal. And so this is the first step. You clicked on this video, and today I'm going to show you 6 yoga poses that you'll see, or you might see, when you go to your first yoga class. Even if you have no plan on going to a yoga class, right? That's maybe not your cup of tea. You just want to try some stuff at home. This will be the absolute basic 6 poses that I can show you, and show you that it's really not that difficult, and you don't need to be a Gumby like the guy that was on the picture there with his feet behind his head. So the 6 yoga poses today that we'll go over: child's pose, down dog, standing forward bend, bridge, and seated twist. That's 5 poses, not 6. So 5 poses, top 5 poses, right? Child's pose, down dog, standing forward bend, bridge pose, and seated twist. And we'll do them in that order. So these are things that you'll find if you do go to a yoga class. If you continue with some of the online sessions here, these are some of the things that you'll see in the yoga classes. If you don't already have a block and a strap, you might want to consider getting one. Especially, they're good for beginners, but I include them in most all of the classes that I teach. A strap, it's a cotton strap about 6 or 8 feet long. You can use a tie if you want. And then a foam block, which is about 4 by 6 by 10 or something like that. You can get these online at yogaaccessories.com or yogadirect.com, or maybe even sharingyoga.com, our website. Let's get right down to it. Pose number 1, child's pose. This pose is going to be done sometimes at the beginning of class, and sometimes when you're doing a yoga routine and you just say, I have no more gas left, I've got to take a break. This is the way to take a break. So for child's pose, go ahead and come down onto your hands and knees like this. Separate your knees apart a little bit, and then you're going to ease yourself back like this. So the hips are moving back toward the heels, and then your forehead is moving down toward the floor like this. And if your forehead makes it all the way down toward the floor, go ahead and rest your forehead on the floor. Now, come back up and look up here. If you're moving back into child's pose and you get to about here and you're like, this ain't going any further today, buddy, right? You just pause right there. You bring your elbows to the floor like this and relax your head. If your head doesn't make it all the way down to the floor, like this, then you use 1 fist or 2 fists to sit here and relax. And then when you get into this position, you're trying to relax. What exactly are you trying to relax? Well, I'm trying to relax my lower back area, right in here. Right? I'm not trying to breathe deep yet or anything, or do anything else, except allow this area right here to relax. And then you come up. Good. So some folks might have a problem with the front part of the foot, the front part of the ankle. When you're going to sit your weight back like that, it'll begin to ache. So you just go back as far as you can, right? Little by little. And you practice this like a couple times a week. You practice child's pose like this. And then maybe at some point after a couple weeks or months, your hips move back a little bit more. Your forehead moves down toward the floor. And you're able to relax in child's pose. Then come up onto the hands and knees. The next pose, pose number 2, is called downward facing dog. Downward facing dog looks somewhat like an upside down V, right? And here's how to get into pose number 2, downward facing dog. Place your hands flat on the floor, about the width of your shoulders apart, maybe a little bit wider. And then you're on your hands and knees, you walk your knees back a little bit, point your toes back down into the floor like this. And then when you're ready, you're going to come up and back like this into down dog. So you're looking back towards your feet, you're not looking forward like this, you're looking back towards your feet. And your shoulders, notice your shoulders are not over your wrists like this in like a high push-up pose, but it's back this way. So the motion of down dog is your hips right here are moving back like that. Your feet are about hip width apart. So there's about 8 inches in between my feet, 8 or 10 inches in between my feet. And then go ahead and come down to the knees, right? Because you're getting tired from being in down dog. And then you're going to relax into child's pose. So tops of the feet on the floor if that's comfortable. Sink back into child's pose. Drop the head down and relax. Then go ahead and come back up on the hands and feet, hands and knees. Point the toes down into the floor and come up and back into downward facing dog. So right here the instructor might say to bend one knee at a time, and you can stretch the muscles on the back of the legs. That's a great thing to do right here. Another great thing to do might just be to bend both knees at the same time a little bit and then try to straighten the legs. Bend and straighten, bend and straighten. And then we'll drop back down to the knees because we're tired again, right? You stay in down dog too long, you're going to get tired eventually. And then ease back into child's pose. And come back up onto the hands and knees. So you see where we're going with this. We're moving back and forth between the two poses. So if all you did for the first couple of weeks or months is just these two poses, that would be fine. That would be fine with me, and it would be fine with you too, right? You come up and back into down dog. Again, notice the points of alignment. My head and shoulders are not moving this way, they're moving this way toward the feet, right? I'm pressing the hands flat into the floor. And this time I'm just allowing the heels to relax toward the floor. That's going to stretch the muscles on the back of my legs. And then we come down to the knees and back into child's pose and relax. And then go ahead and sit up a minute. So the third pose we're going to take a look at today is called standing forward bend. Pose number 3, standing forward bend. We're going to move from child's pose into down dog, which we already know, and then from down dog into standing forward bend. And there's no pretty way to get there. There's no fancy way to get there. So just follow along with my lead here. Child's pose again. The lower back is relaxing. Come up onto the hands and knees. Point the toes down into the floor. Come up and back into down dog. And then from down dog, we're going to move into a forward bend. So you're going to bend your knees. You're going to look forward. And then you're going to begin to walk your feet forward. And then you're going to end up here in a forward bend. So keep your knees bent a little bit. And then relax your head. And then grab onto opposite arms like this. Now, if your back is singing right now, release your hands, bend your knees, and place your forearms just above your knees like this. This will take some of the tension out. So if this is all you've got today, that's fine, right? You're just going to relax here with the forearms above the knees. If everything feels okay, and you want to take the stretch a little bit deeper, grab onto opposite elbows here, relax the head. The arms are relaxing in this position, and the knees are bent a little bit. And then I'd like you to bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, we'll come up to standing. So that's pose number 3, standing forward bend. Now we're going to go from where we are now standing, we're going to reverse direction with this routine. We're going to go from here into a standing forward bend, from the standing forward bend back into downward facing dog, and then from downward facing dog back into child's pose. So you can see here we're beginning to create a routine. That's what happens in a yoga class. You show up at a yoga class at Sharing Yoga in Concord, New Hampshire, and the instructor is going to be weaving together 30, 40, 50 of these poses during the course of an hour, moving you through number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, all of these poses and stuff. So this is a great way to get started. Standing, we're going to move into standing forward bend. So the knees are unlocked, the knees are bent a little bit, and then we're going to come forward and down. When we get here, this time you can let the arms relax like this. You can grab onto opposite forearms or elbows like this, or you can rest your forearms just above your knees and thighs like this. So pick one of those positions, relax your head, and breathe deep. Now you're going to release your hands here, and inhale and look forward a little bit, and then as you exhale, plant your hands on the floor and begin to walk your feet back, all the way back into downward facing dog. And now when you get to downward facing dog, you're a little bit more warmed up. So remember, you're going to check that you're not looking at your hands, you're looking at your feet, and that your shoulders aren't moving forward toward the hands, but your shoulders are moving back, and your hips are moving back like this. And then you're going to try to straighten your legs just a tiny bit more. Feel that deep stretch in the back of the legs. And then drop down to the knees and relax back into child's pose. Good. And then you can come up and sit up here for a minute. So we got 3 poses so far. Child's pose, down dog, standing forward bend. And then we reverse it. Standing forward bend, down dog, into child's pose. So you take those 3 poses, you just keep doing them over and over and over. Well, how long should I do them for? Well, let's say you try each one for 15 seconds. That's a good place to start. Once you feel more comfortable in those poses, you move from 15 seconds up to a half a minute. How am I going to know when it's a half a minute? I don't have my timer, I don't have my watch, I don't have a clock. One of the good rules of thumb is 5 breaths, right? So when you're in downward facing dog, like this, taking 5 breaths. Inhale, exhale. That's 1. Inhale, exhale. That's 2. So you work all the way up to 5. Same thing with standing forward bend. When you're leaning over there, your head's relaxing down toward the floor. Inhale, exhale. That's 1 breath, right? You work up to 5 in each pose. So we got those first 3 poses down. I'm going to show you the last 2 poses for today's introductory session here. Bridge, and then seated twist. So bridge pose is done on your back. So watch me first, and then we'll try it together. You're going to come down onto your back in a minute. Place your feet about a foot apart on the floor, and then bring the arms alongside the body. You want to pick your head up for a moment and look at your feet. If your toes are pointed outward, point them inward or straight ahead. And for bridge pose, we're simply going to be trying to lift our hips and our lower back up off the ground. So the feet stay on the ground, the head and shoulders stay on the ground. When you're ready, you begin to lift the hips up off the ground. Good? And then we'll come back down. So that was a very short hold of bridge pose, but that's okay, right? Because we're just getting into it. We're just getting introduced to it. So you could actually use this with movement and breath connected. As you inhale, you lift the hips and lower back up. Inhale, inhale. And then as you're exhaling, the hips and lower back come down. Exhale, exhale, exhale. And then inhale, come up, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Good. 1 more. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Let's take a break here for a moment. Now, you come down and try it if you haven't tried it already. Come onto your back. Feet are flat on the floor. Feet are about a foot apart. And now we'll try to come up and hold the pose. So when you're ready, bring the hips and the lower back up off the ground. You try to be mindful of the knees, that the knees aren't moving out to the side like this, but they're staying directly over the ankles and heels. And now you begin some deep breathing. And if you've only come up a little bit, not a lot, don't worry about it. You'll gain strength in this posture and you'll gain flexibility in this posture over time. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then that's beginning to be a little bit too much, so I'll come back down. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. We'll try bridge pose one more time, right? So if you're having trouble with this, one of the ways to take some of the tension out of the back for the time being for beginners is arms come alongside the body and then bend your elbows. So now your elbows are touching the floor. There's about a 90-degree bend in the arms. Now when you come up, you're going to press the elbows down into the floor as the hips and lower back come up. That'll take some of the tension off the back. So I'm actively pressing the elbows down into the floor as I try to lift the hips up. Now I'm going to breathe deep into my belly. And then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to walk the feet away just a couple of inches, and then slowly from side to side, I'll move the knees side to side a little bit. Nice and slow, nice and easy. Good, and then we'll come back to center. So that's pose number 4, called bridge pose. Bridge pose is a back bend and a back strengthener. So we're going to come up, and the 5th and final pose for today is seated twist. So for seated twist, we're going to begin with the left leg straight. You're going to bend your right knee. You're going to cross your right foot over the left knee. Now, if you're saying to yourself right now, Dave, there's no possible way I can do that, right? I had too much to eat at Thanksgiving dinner last year, and it hasn't gone away yet, right? So you can't get the foot to the other side here. That's okay. You keep the foot on this side, right? So the foot's either here, the right foot's either here, or it's over here. And you're going to pull yourself forward with your right hand or your right arm, with your left hand or your left arm. And then you're going to begin to sit up tall and then twist and turn toward the right hand side. So bring your right hand out back on the floor. You're looking toward the right hand side and you're twisting toward the right hand side, nice and easy. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Then come back to center. And then we'll release. Right leg straight. Left knee bends. Keep your left foot here, or you cross it over just like we did on the other side. Pull yourself forward with the right hand, and the left hand comes out back. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, twist and turn and look toward the left hand side. If you can wrap that entire right arm around the left leg like this, go ahead and do that. And now you'll focus on your breathing. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And then we'll release. So there you have it today. If you need to watch that again, you can go ahead and do that. But there's 5 basic yoga poses that you'll see in a yoga class, and that'll get you started on the road to yoga. Even if you never have any intention of attending a yoga class, going to the yoga studio and all that stuff, you can do this, folks, you can do this in the privacy of your own home, right? You've got child's pose, pose number 1, down dog, pose number 2, standing forward bend, pose number 3, bridge pose on your back, pose number 4, and seated twist, pose number 5. There's 5 poses that you can get started with. Practice them, breathe deep. If you have any questions, you can email me, david@sharingyoga.com, david@sharingyoga.com. Go to Facebook and like Sharing Yoga on Facebook. If you got any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer the questions. I'm David Breen from Sharing Yoga. Namaste, and I'll see you next time.